Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to have another really cool session with Mike DiDonato as well as GB Bajaj. Good afternoon, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon. Glad to be here.
Yay. All right, so I'm going to give it a couple of seconds just to wait for the numbers to kind of steady, and then we'll get started with our intro. Hopefully all of you are doing well on this fine Thursday afternoon and ready for a really great session. I'm really interested to see or to hear the information that's going to be delivered by Mike. All right, I think we're steady. Let's get this thing started. All right, hopefully everyone can see my screen okay. Awesome. Good afternoon again. My name is Lauren Simpson. I'm with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. We're a national program with over 1,000 locations throughout the country. So regardless of what state or city you are in, you should be able to get connected with a local SBDC office. And you'll want to do so because we offer no-cost business advising. Again, no cost business advising, as well as trainings for local small businesses. And they're at no cost to you because your tax dollars have already taken care of all of our fees. For the Los Angeles network, excuse me, which is the network that I represent, we have locations throughout we serve the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties, meaning we have locations throughout those counties. You can see them represented on the map in front of you. If you are an entrepreneur in any of those counties, please do be sure to get in contact with one of our service centers. Again, you'll want to do so because we offer no-cost business advising. And so you're able to meet one-on-one with one of our business experts, like Mike DiDonato, as well as other experts that we have or colleagues that we have on our team. And then we also offer virtual trainings, free virtual trainings, much like the training you have joined today. So again, we're here to help. Please be sure to get in contact with us. You can reach out to by phone at 866-588-7232, or you can go to our site, which is smallbizla.org/new client. For those of you outside of the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties, please go to americassbdc.org/find your SBDC, and they can assist with getting you set up with a local SBDC office. With that, quick housekeeping. Let's be sure to put all questions into the Q&A. Again, questions into the Q&A. Oh, hello, Terry from Long Beach, California. And then let's be sure to leave the chat for any kind of feedback or comments that you have related to the session. But be sure to put those questions into the Q&A because we want to be sure that Mike and GB can get you some answers. All righty. Mike, I think I've done it all. I've done the intro. Now it's kicking it over to you.
Thank you. One of the housekeeping note, please keep the questions to the topic.
Yes.
Because we have limited time, we want to cover as many areas as we can regarding this specific topic. You can always set up a one-on-one advising session to help you with something that is outside the topic, and you should do so. We're here for you.
Yep.
One of the point when people hear the word free, GB, what do people equate when they hear the word free? It's
par.
Yeah, it's not quality.
Correct.
Keep in mind, we are paid advisors,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And we have high-level advisors like GB on board, okay? And myself. But take advantage of it. We're here for you. This is your tax dollars. GB talks about taxes.
Maybe we should say it's not free, it's prepaid.
There you go.
There you go. Exactly.
That's perfect.
Lauren, somebody wants the contact information. So can you please put that in the Q&A and in the chat room so they can go ahead and set up appointments?
Yep, I just sent that over. Oh, so
Okay.
They were asking, I got it.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
GB, any news to share regarding your industry? What's going on? Anything important you want to cover?
I'll do that next week. There have been some changes, but they're subject to interpretation, and I'm reading them this week. So I'll have those next week. There's a couple of inflation laws and a couple of other grants and subsidies coming in. So we'll talk about those next week, if that's okay with you.
Fine by me. We're going to be covering the metaverse, cryptocurrency, blockchain. By the way, this may end up being 2 sessions because it's dense material.
Correct.
One of the points, GB, you may know already that the state has conformed to federal law regarding
Yes.
PPP loans,
yes.
and the taxability thereof.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. Finally. And now they're saying, by the way, if you filed your tax returns already, file an amendment.
Exactly. And you
That's
told
why-
everybody to wait anyway.
Yeah. So this is why a lot of my clients, they sometimes get upset, like, GB, how come we haven't filed yet? I said, well, because this year a lot of things are changing mid-tax season, and we don't want to file amendments because that's more money, more time, more issues. So yeah, if you've already filed your tax return, you did not conform to the new PPP, you will need to file an amendment.
Great, thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to today's topic, which has to do with the metaverse, blockchain, cryptocurrencies. GB, I'm going to need your help with this information because I believe you're well versed in it. And I know that a couple of weeks ago, you covered taxability associated with cryptocurrency as assets.
Indeed.
So we're going to take a step back from that. We're going to go through an overview of these new worlds. We're going to be exploring new worlds, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the metaverse, or metaverses, cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and NFTs. And if you've never heard of these topics, talk to a 12-year-old. I'm serious. They know quite a bit about these topics.
Indeed.
Let me move on from here. So what you see on your screen here are virtual worlds. These are worlds that gamers are into, and there's millions and millions of gamers out there. When I was growing up, when GB was growing up possibly, we spent our time watching TV when we wanted to relax. The younger generations are spending their time hour after hour after hour in these gaming universes. If you want to reach a new audience, that's where you need to be. If you want to sell your products, this is where you need to be. Because they're not watching TV. They're not listening to radio. They're not reading magazines, right, GB? They're in these worlds.
Absolutely.
So if you're unfamiliar with these worlds, if you say, no, that's not for me, then you're going to be missing the boat. Because this generation, and it's not just 12-year-olds, it's 12 to 40-year-olds.
Yeah.
And right?
You're right.
And so that's a huge population that you have access to through these virtual worlds. Okay. And so Facebook, by the way, changed its name to Meta for a reason. It's no longer Facebook. Okay. So we have all sorts of gaming universes called the metaverse or metaverses. There's Roblox, Decentraland, Fortnite, Facebook, there's something called Sandbox. If you're not familiar with these virtual worlds, become familiar with them because you might want to be able to take advantage of it and do business in these virtual worlds. So what's the definition of a metaverse? There's a gentleman named Neil Stephenson who came up with a novel in 1992 called Snow Crash. He described it as a computer-generated universe, where the protagonist, this is important, draws his own eyes and acts independently within that universe. You're no longer passively watching something. You're a protagonist, you're acting in this universe. And it has its own ecosystem, its own reality, its own economy, okay? The technologies companies refer to when they talk about the metaverse can include virtual reality, VR, which are persistent virtual worlds. It means they don't end when you log off. They're in existence continually, okay? It's augmented reality, and it combines aspects of the digital and physical worlds. Many companies that have hopped on the board, the metaverse bandwagon, also envision some sort of new digital economy. Well, that already exists, that they can create, buy and sell goods and property, real estate. Now, what you see is some more scenes from some of these worlds on the screen here. There's a woman named Kathy Hackle. She's the Chief Metaverse Officer. Yes, that's a real title, and CEO of Futures Intelligence Group. She has been dubbed the godmother of the metaverse because she has outstanding expertise in the field. She says it's not one technology and it's not one single company. It's enabled by many different technologies like virtual reality, artificial intelligence, 5G computing, voice cloud computing, edge computing, blockchain. We'll go into blockchain later, okay? It's a blend of a virtual and physical interactions where you can interact with people in many ways. By the way, it's socialization. GB, you have children, I believe. I don't know what age they are. Are they into these worlds?
No, but he's only 7 and he's been harking at me to get him into this world. I'm like, dude, learn to deal with reality before you go into virtual reality. But yeah, he's already knocking on my door to get him access to this. But I don't want to. But I know I cannot keep him for too long.
Right. Roblox, they'll start with Roblox
Yeah.
or Minecraft or one of those
Yeah.
other games. And those games are attractive
Correct.
for a reason. Okay.
Correct.
They
Yeah.
can also be addictive.
Yes.
Right. As
Yes.
TV can be addictive.
Exactly.
So why is this important to businesses? Because businesses are taking advantage of the marketing opportunities to sell into these universes. 1/3 of gamers, and there's millions of gamers, discover new brands in the virtual world. You're not going to find them on TV. You're not going to find them reading print ads. You're not going to find them looking at streaming, possibly, maybe. But this is where they discover new brands. Over half of the people are more likely to buy from a brand that features in their favorite game. Absorb that. That features in their favorite game, as the line between real life and digital identities blur. Okay, a Metaverse Marketplace allows you to sell products, parcels, estates, wearables, and unique names. Set your own prices and expiration dates for the offer. Sounds like an economy to you, GB? It is to me.
Yeah, exactly.
You can transfer your assets to another user. And GB, they are assets, as you mentioned before. There is a taxable issue associated with these assets.
Correct.
You can explore the world through a map to see who owns what. Many of you may be gamers. I don't know. I have no idea who's on this workshop, but if you're not into gaming, we understand that. Maybe you don't want to spend your time gaming, but you need to understand the business opportunity that exists for you to be in these worlds if you want to reach that population, and it's only going to continue to grow. You can name your parcels and estates. You can grant permissions to others, allowing to deploy in your land. You actually own that digital real estate. And you can manage to create a dissolve estate. So what are some of the metaverses? I mentioned Roblox, Fortnite, Sandbox, Axie Infinity, Illuvium. If you haven't heard of these, that's okay. Maybe you're not into gaming, but those of you who are into gaming have heard of these. Decentraland, Xbox, Ultra Corporation is into it, Tencent, Huawei, and MiHoYo. Facebook is now Meta. Why would they change that name to Meta? Because this is the way they see the world going. So this was the announcement made by Mark Zuckerberg at Connect 2021. And he's got an entire video here that goes on for an hour that explains it. Basically, you can have your own avatar at a meeting. CGV needs to meet with a client.
Mm-hmm.
It can be remotely like this, but he can have his own avatar and meet with that client when the client has an avatar in a virtual reality world. That's one of the things that Mark Zuckerberg mentioned. And people are doing that. You can go to a concert without commuting to the concert. As a matter of fact, that's happened in Fortnite. You heard about that, GB?
I did, yes.
Right. This is what your children are being, GB just mentioned it, your children are already being exposed to this. So if you're not aware of this, you need to be aware of it. Instead of physical things being assembled in factories, there'll be holograms designed by creators around the world. And those creators need to get paid, by the way. They don't do it for free.
Correct.
If you're a creator, if you're a creative person, learn this stuff. It might be helpful to you. And you may be able to move across these experiences on different devices. There's augmented reality glasses to stay present in the physical world, virtual reality to be fully immersed, and phones and computers to jump in from existing platforms. This isn't about spending more time on screens. It's about making the time we already spend better. We all just mentioned it. Just like we are now, I didn't have to go to GB to the TV studio to do this session, right? It's more efficient, more economical. This makes things more economical. You want to add to what I just said?
No, you're right. And this is where I think last week I talked about the whole Tennessee issue. imagine if a lot of us had to go through the pandemic and learn about the PPP and the EIDL if we didn't have these Zoom webinars, or the production costs and the time would have taken for SBDC to develop these things and send out in DVDs or whatever. So you're right, this is a new mechanism. It will keep on evolving, and the tax code is evolving to keep up. So the business community, especially the small business community, and here's the biggest challenge, the big boys, the big girls are already playing in this world. They're already learning about it and they're adapting to it. Is a small business will not. They will go under and they will not even know what hit them. So you don't have to be Facebook to convert to Meta. But I believe you're right, Mike. And this is a timely presentation that every small business owner should find that, okay, maybe I don't advertise on TV. Maybe I've never advertised on radio. But if I am going to develop a marketing or advertising budget, how much of that should go here, so I can at least learn with small dollars as opposed to make big dollar mistakes down the line.
Exactly. You could create a holographic image of a product, see if somebody was interested in it, which would be less expensive than a physical product. And if somebody likes it in the virtual world, then you can move on to make a physical product.
Correct.
Now, some of these larger brands, these global brands, worldwide brands, are already in there. They're already in these digital worlds. Nike, Zara, Gucci, Stella Artois, they see the list on and on and on and on, right?
Correct.
Why? Well, first of all, there's a huge audience to sell to. Gucci created a virtual garden exhibition within Roblox. It was part of the 100th birthday celebration. Why? Because they wanted to capture that audience. They knew they have to go to that audience. It makes absolute sense for these virtual worlds to collaborate with the brands, as you mentioned, GP. Okay. The exhibition highlights how the metaverse can recreate the shopping experience. The fact that Gucci's digital offerings could only be purchased for a limited time. We're talking about scarcity. When there's scarcity, prices rise. They were buying something unique, which also had exceptional value. And some of these items were later resold by users who were in the world, in the virtual world, for more than the real world version's value. Then you have to make a physical product. It's a digital product, and they sold it inside Roblox for more than the physical world version. Stella Artois is a brewery that make beer. Maybe you've seen their ads. They're also a sponsor of racing tracks. They decided to create and to basically create a virtual world. They work with the Virtually Human Studio, which created a truly unique digital racing platform called Zrun. Spectators don't just watch 3D horses race. People can actively breed and purchase horses to be used within the races. I'm sure there's betting going on too. And of course there is, right? And Stella Artois jumped in the action by offering their own breeds, horse skins, and is working on a branded 3D racetrack. You can enjoy a complete experience at the races in Racing in the Life Artois. Awesome. I don't have to get in my car and go down the racetrack. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are opportunities for you to explore the metaverses and take advantage of it. And this is done by creating something called NFTs or creating, some land. You can go and buy land. This is meant as an overview, not to give you instruction on how all this works. I can't tell you how to sign up for, any of these worlds. You have to figure that out. Okay. Now, your favorite topic, GB, cryptocurrency. We have lots and lots of cryptocurrencies now, right? We have Ethereum, we have Bitcoin, everyone's heard of Bitcoin, Dogecoin, there's a whole bunch of them. Let's talk about it. It's a virtual currency. It doesn't exist in the real world. It's secured by cryptography. It's almost nearly impossible to counterfeit it. And it's decentralized. And it relies on something called blockchain. We'll explain later. But keep in mind, it's a digital asset. And it's issued through a distributed network. When you have a central bank system like we do, we have the federal bank system, right? The federal bank system controls our money supply. there is no federal bank system. There's no one regulating this. It's an unregulated marketplace. And GB, you've gone into explanations why, why regulation is good. Okay.
Yeah, some regulation is good, absolutely.
Right. But keep this in mind. This is an unregulated world. That doesn't mean there won't be regulations. Have you
Correct.
heard, do you have the latest on that? Have you heard about any upcoming regulations?
New York is the one that spearheaded the process 3 years ago, I believe. So they want anybody who wants to offer any crypto in their state to be registered. But beyond that, the IRS has taken the biggest lead on it to make something taxable, because once something is taxable, then they can find legality around it.
Right. So the way this works is you have computers spread out all across the world, and it's something that there's something called mining going on, which I'll explain later. But basically, it's a dots and digits. It's dashes, dots, digits, numbers. Okay. There's a mathematical algorithm that is calculated and solved for these quote unquote miners to mint, quote unquote, mint the coins. The physical minting of coins is done at the various treasuries throughout the United States and in other banking systems throughout the world. Okay. Well, why? Why did someone come up with this? Well, it's decentralized. A lot of people don't trust the federal government. They don't trust banks. There could be cheaper and faster money transfers, and there are. Okay. And we were at a point, was it 10 years ago, where our banking system almost collapsed. I don't know if you all remember that. I know GB does.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that doesn't mean you can't lose money with cryptocurrency. Of course you can. We've all heard those horror stories. Okay. But there are certain advantages to it. A decentralized system is a good thing in some ways, because let's say there was a centralized system and that system was attacked. Well, then you're out of luck. Okay, and there's many attacks that go on every day by hackers against our systems. Now, we mentioned there's a lack of regulations. There's high volatility in terms of prices. It takes a lot of energy to quote unquote mine, which is basically using computer power to generate the currency, and is often used by criminal actors for such things as ransom, because it's anonymous. This is and GB, you could probably give a better explanation of this. This is a map or a chart or a graphic that explains basic currencies. So see down the bottom, we have like cash. I mean, that's hard currency, cash coins. But that's a very small percentage of the quote unquote the currency in the world or in the United States, right, GB?
Correct.
It's like 1 trillion worth of hard currency in the United States. But banks own, I don't know, 23 trillion, $30 trillion worth of assets, something like that. And the federal government has 100 trillion, 300 trillion, I don't know. So keep in mind the dollars and the cents that you literally have in your wallet is just a very small percentage of the actual amount of currency in the world in the United States. It is our federal government through the Treasury that issues the currency, issues bonds and notes and that type of stuff. But when you have a cryptocurrency, it's a bunch of people that are quote unquote minting it.
May I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Just for clarity purposes, as of right now, crypto is not considered a currency because currency connotes the regulation. So as of right now, crypto, NFTs, all of these are considered assets. And it's no different. I think one of the examples I used in my presentation was if I were to sell tax services in return for massages or legal advice or a loaf of bread, that's barter. I'm giving one property for another. Currency, it's regulated a different way. And this is why I want our attendees to be aware that the reason why taxation for these are different is because these are not considered currencies. When it comes to cryptos and NFT, even including gold, even gold and hard assets are considered property, not necessarily a currency. So when our attendees talk to others, they want to make sure they have the proper lingo over there.
Right, and you're talking about the IRS definition, okay? But in
In the banking
nomenclature,
also. Oh yeah, in the
banking,
nomenclature, yes, yes.
in nomenclature, it's referred to as cryptocurrency and virtual currency.
Correct, correct.
Virtual currency is dots, dashes, digits.
Exactly.
And cryptocurrency is a version of that,
Correct.
okay?
Yeah.
But for purposes of definition for taxes of banking, it is not a currency.
Correct, correct.
But the federal government is considering the development of its own cryptocurrency.
Correct. Which will be regulated, so it defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So Mr. Cham, David Lee Cham, he's recognized as the first inventor of something called digital cash. He wrote a dissertation in 1982, which talked about blockchain. Blockchain is the secure cryptographic algorithm that secures cryptocurrency. And so here you have a timeline. We go back to 1982, 1983. He's known as the godfather of currency because his protocol for blockchains was later detailed in the Bitcoin white paper. And then we move to 1990, where we have DigiCash, which is Mr. Cham's business. He created the first digital currency with eCash. Then there was something called DAI. And then we finally get to Bitcoin. Now, you want to talk about, do you know the history here, GB, about Bitcoin?
No, go for it.
Okay. So there was a pseudonym, an individual that has been named Satoshi Nakamoto. No one knows who he is. No one has claimed to be this person. Okay. There's a lot of theories about who it might be or what agency it might be or what government might be. But no one has claimed to be Satoshi Nakamoto. He authored the first Bitcoin white paper. And when he did that, he or she or they minted the first Bitcoins in 2008. And then other cryptocurrencies came after that, like Litecoin and Ripple and Ethereum. Okay. So if you look up Satoshi Nakamoto, you're trying to find out who he is. There's lots of theories, never been confirmed, and no one has claimed to be that person. Okay. So here's the timeline. Before Bitcoin was proposed, that's 2005. In 2008, the white paper was published. It was launched in 2009. It gained parity with the US dollar in 2011. And then there was bubbles and crashes, and more cryptocurrencies were created. So there was a low point in 2018 where it reached $3,300. In 2017, it reached almost $20,000. I haven't checked recently. I know there's a crash. Have you checked on it recently, GB?
No, just have a lot of clients crying right now because of the crashes.
Right. Do you remember when it first came out? I do.
Yeah, I do.
And I said to myself, nah, don't let it go anywhere. What a mistake that was. Right. So here you have a payment process compared between a traditional payment process versus Bitcoin. When you have a traditional payment process, you have a checking account and you're going to make a payment to someone. You write a check to someone, but the money doesn't really flow immediately directly to that person. It has to go to the bank and then it has to clear your bank account before the money is deposited in the other person's bank account, or else you're writing a bad check. Okay, you're bouncing a check, which is actually illegal. Now I realize that people do that unintentionally, but if you consistently do that, then that's a problem and you might be hauled off to jail. Okay, so this requires a third person to help move the money around. That's also true when you do wire transfers or ACHs. Okay, with cryptocurrency, there is no central processor. There is no bank, no lending institution, nothing like that. You have computers to spread out around the world. And to make this easy, basically you're just transferring money directly from one wallet, quote unquote, a wallet, a digital wallet, to another wallet. That's all you're doing. There are people that have to create the coins through computers, but there's no centralized authority. That's the difference. Is that a good explanation?
Yes.
GB? Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I mentioned mining, and this is actually controversial because in order to, quote unquote, mint the coins, you need significant computing powers to solve complex mathematical calculations. And the more computing power that you have, the more likely you are to solve the mathematical algorithm. So people buy more and more and more hardware to go ahead and mine for this, to the point where it's causing problems. I think you mentioned New York City, they want to regulate it.
They do, because by some estimates, the amount of greenhouse gases created by the mining is more than all of the automobiles combined in the world right now. So people want to drive Teslas to be good for the environment. They want to pay with Bitcoin. They are not being very green as they may proclaim to be.
Right. So here you have a person, Alice, she wants to buy a product from Bob using Bitcoin. She has quote unquote a private key, a private wallet. It could be a physical wallet that holds your key or digital wallet. Okay. And she requests this transaction. It's kind of technical, but in the end, somebody has to quote unquote mine through a computing process. And then the coin is created and Bob receives the Bitcoins. It's the mining that GB mentioned that causes the problem. Okay. So what are the advantages? First of all, if you want to sell into the metaverse or NFTs, you need to have a crypto wallet. You can't do it with hard currency. It allows enhancement of brand through multiple digital channels. If you take crypto for payment, then expands your possibilities. So you can actually have a crypto wallet, and let's say a small little boutique store, you can accept cryptocurrency. I wouldn't hold on to it for long. I'd convert it to cash quickly, but you could do that. By the way, it avoids credit card fees. American Express is known for charging really high fees for credit card payments. And Visa, MasterCard, when you have a merchant account and you're taking credit cards, you're paying fees, you know that. It reduces those fees, okay? By the way, it also reduces cross-border transaction fees. When people have to send money into the United States or vice versa, there's a fee paid against those transfers. This avoids all that. This is why internationally people like this. And it's faster processing. For those who take credit card payments, you know it might take a couple of days for you to get the payment after it's transacted. It's almost immediate when you take cryptocurrency. You can obviously broaden your customer base for a subset of the population that prefers digital currency. I don't know, GB, have you seen that? Was it a number of people don't like traditional banks anymore? Have you read that statistic?
I have, yes.
And so they prefer to work with a digital currency, possibly.
Correct.
Right. Decentralization of crypto protects merchants from fraudulent chargebacks because all transactions are final. There's no refund. There's no chargeback. With credit cards, you have chargebacks. So no third party can reverse charges. Go ahead,
correct.
Jimmy.
And that's something that people have to be careful about. Right now, there's pending legislation where right now, if you send somebody, for example, money via Zelle or Venmo, and it's a fraudulent transaction, it's your loss. Banks are exempt from making you whole. Whereas if you were to pay somebody with a debit card or a credit card, it's a fraud. You can report it and immediately the bank puts money in your account. So there is regulation right now pending where the banks will be forced to refund you the money if you have done fraudulent transaction via Zelle or Venmo. So this is where it's a conundrum. People want the decentralized, like, hey, nobody monitoring it. But if you are going to delve in this world, whether you're buying or selling, be mindful, nobody's there to protect you. So it's a conundrum that somebody will have to resolve for themselves. Like, what do they seek more in the transaction, anonymity or protection?
Yeah, there's a balance. Great point.
Correct.
You can possibly increase your sales to international buyers because I mentioned there's transaction fees based on quote unquote fiat. Fiat is like the US dollar.
Correct.
Or the euro. And so that is a way to reach out to a broader audience outside of the United States, because they may be more likely, or you be more competitive on an international basis. And it gives customers an additional way to pay for goods and services. It provides a high level of protection of customer information. As a matter of fact, it's anonymous. I mean, it could be anonymous, okay? Now, there's something called decentralized finance platforms called DeFi, which I'll explain later, but the bottom line is you might be able to get loans, a crypto loan, which you convert to currency. You might not be able to get it through your bank. Many people don't qualify for loans through their bank, but you may be able to get it through this methodology. There's something called tokenized equities, where you're raising capital for your business through the creation of a cryptocurrency. I have multiple clients now creating their own cryptocurrencies. By the way, anyone can create a cryptocurrency. You hire the right developers and anyone can do it, okay? Doesn't mean you're going to be successful in promoting it, but you can do it.
You know, you're right, because it's no different than creating your own bank. The reason why we have checks today is because when the federal government took over the minting of the money process, many state banks, which were state chartered, they used to make money off of that. And when the federal government usurped that power, banks created checks to have their own currency. So that's the analogy I use with my clients. It's no different than if you have enough money, you can create your own bank. The beauty of the crypto is that you need the hardware, but it's cheaper than starting a bank. So if you start your own crypto, and if you're successful at marketing it, you can make a good premium, just like any government around the world makes money on making money.
Awesome. If you're involved in crowd raises, and everyone should be aware, crowd raises is 4 different primary models: equity, there's charity, there's rewards-based, or basically selling, okay, and there's lending. You could possibly accept cryptocurrency, and some people might be more likely to contribute to your crowdfunding campaign if you accept crypto in addition to cash. You can earn crypto by using a credit card offering crypto rewards. That now exists now. I don't know if you've seen it. I've seen it. Now, here's the disadvantages, right? Unregulated, no centralized system, highly speculative. So I don't suggest you keep your money in crypto. You convert it to cash, okay? And bad actors can use the anonymity to their own advantage, like this ransomware. I don't know if everyone's familiar with ransomware, but they'll claim to lock up your computer, and then you have to pay it off in cryptocurrency. I think that happened to a utility last year. You remember that case? Yeah.
I do, yeah.
Now, this is important. Once you create a crypto wallet, whether it's digital or a hard one, don't lose the password. You only have a certain number of tries to access the wallet, and you can't recover the password. When I have a bank account, which I do, I can recover my password through the bank. I give them my identifying information. They allow me to recover my password, and that does have access to my bank account. No problem. The crypto wallet, that doesn't exist, okay? There was a Bitcoin owner whose story went viral after he lost his wallet password. He now says he has made peace with the potential $220 million loss. He changed out computers, one died, he forgot to keep the passwords, and he lost it, and I think you have something like 10 tries, and after that, you're done, okay? There was German prosecutors who confiscated more than 50 million euros worth of Bitcoin from a fraudster. The problem is the fraudster's not giving them the password, so they can't access it, and they can't force them, okay? So he has to serve his time, but when he gets out, he has access to $60 million. The transactions are irreversible. Like GB said, just remember, it's all transactions are final, okay? Tax consequences, tax complications, GB. You want to go briefly, their assets, et cetera?
Yes. So it depends upon how you come across crypto. If somebody pays me in crypto because I did tax work for them, that income for me is subject to payroll taxes and or self-employment taxes plus ordinary income taxes. But now that I have this crypto, which is not, I know it's called currency, but because in the tax world and in the legal and the banking world, it's not considered a currency, it's an asset. If I trade that with Mike, not for his legal services, but maybe for something that he owns, now we have a capital exchange. And depending upon when I came across with the crypto asset will determine when I give my crypto asset to Mike, what is my basis in his asset that I'm procuring, and or when I'm giving it to him, is my capital gains short-term or long-term? So the same, see, when I do a transaction with credit cards or cash or checks, there is no tax consequences. But it's when I'm doing transaction with crypto, there for the same coin that I may be in possession of, I may have 3 different tax exposures to it, whether it's passive income, whether it's capital income, or whether it is ordinary income. And I have to be mindful of that and keep record of that.
Thank you for that. It gets complicated. As we always say, seek out someone who's quite knowledgeable if you're confused about this, especially if you have significant assets in crypto. Okay. Lots of scams, lots of fakes, lack of transparency. For those of you who like the Squid Game series, terrific, awesome. But somebody came up, like I said, anyone can create a cryptocurrency. And somebody did, and they called the Squid Game crypto. And one day they just walked away with $3.36 million. Shut it down, walked away with it. All those people lost that money. So you have to be very careful about what type of crypto to take or what type of crypto to invest in. Just like anything else, okay? Let's see if there's a market for the crypto. Let's see if it's well received, et cetera. Now, as we mentioned in the previous session, you can't pay your rent by crypto. I mean, I can't go to the grocery store and buy my milk with cryptocurrency. Ralph's doesn't take it. Will they ever take it? I have no idea. Will my landlord take it? Probably not. Will some landlords take it?
You know, there are some banks that are allowing people to have a debit card and they can do the back-end transaction, sort of like foreign currency. Imagine if you take your American Express or MasterCard from US and you go do shopping in Germany, they will do the conversion, the foreign conversion fee. So there are some mechanism, but somebody asked a question that how is this relevant to them? It is only relevant to them if you make it relevant to yourself. There are people who buy and sell fine wine. There are people who buy and sell art. There are people who buy and sell a lot of things. The point is, if you don't want to deal with this, you don't have to. But if you want to, this is worthwhile checking out how you may deal with it. Coinbase is what a lot of people use, for example, for crypto transactions because it's easier. But there are some, but Coinbase is not as decentralized as many would like it to be because it is regulated right now. So same thing with Robinhood. People buy and sell crypto on Robinhood thinking, hey, I'm being anonymous. No, you're not. So to answer your question, can you go to Ralph and buy a gallon of milk with crypto? Technically, yes, you can. But will Ralph accept crypto on their own platform? No. This is why Elon Musk decided to accept Bitcoin to buy and sell Teslas, and he reversed course within a few days because of the challenges that come with it.
Thank you. I mentioned tokenized equity. This is where you can go ahead and raise potentially money for yourself by creating your crypto coins or tokens. Oftentimes to raise money, I think everybody knows you can maybe take a loan, go to a VC, go to the angel group. Good luck with that. I'm very well versed in that. You're not going to get anything. Okay. There's too much competition. It's highly, highly competitive unless you have something outstanding and you have traction and significant sales and margin. By the way, there's some regulatory issues associated by raising money through the creation of crypto. The SEC is still struggling with this, okay? Because the SEC regulates equity, regulates ownership in businesses. And so the SEC really hasn't come up with a clear ruling on how to treat these transactions, but it exists. So you're offering ownership in the form of equity shares in the form of cryptocurrency. Now, is that a true ownership, GB? I don't know.
The beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The equity and the ownership stake is in the eye of the beholder as well.
Exactly. In order to get engaged in the crypto world, to accept it or send it, you have to have a crypto wallet. And there's a guide here. And I think, Lauren, I think I'll send this to you. So if anyone asks, they can have this presentation. You can have a cold wallet or a hot wallet. A cold wallet is kept offline, okay? Paper wallets or hardware wallets. There's a reduced threat from hacking online text because it's offline, okay? It's less convenient and more expensive, and it's best suited to those storing large amounts of crypto over a long period of time, okay? Hot wallets are connected to the internet, so therefore they're subject to attacks, okay? It says web-based wallets, mobile wallets, desktop wallets. If you don't know this world, learn it if you want to learn it. And you should learn it. You should be familiar with these concepts because it impacts on your business. It's vulnerable to hacking if you have a hot wallet, but it's easy and convenient to use. And it's best suited to beginners or regular traders who need to make quick online payments, okay? And there are, I think you mentioned Coinbase. The Coinbase offer wallets? I believe it does, right, GB?
It does, yes.
And many other of those platforms.
Correct.
Binance offers wallets, I think.
Yes.
So if this is confusing you, it's okay. It's confusing to everybody. You just have to read about it and learn about it. Or seek out an advisor through the SBDC. I'll be happy to talk to you. As with GB. So every crypto wallet has a public key. It is your public key allows you to receive cryptocurrency transactions. And it's public and open to anyone. In other words, I need your key in order to send you money, right? A private key is private to you. It proves ownership of your respective public key. It must be stored securely and kept secret. You shouldn't be sharing it with anyone. You shouldn't, no one, other than perhaps immediate family members.
You're right. I also have people, it's like, if I want to send you money, I need to know your routing number and your checking account number to send you a wire. So this is why people say, well, I don't want to share that. Well, then I cannot send you money. At the very least, I need your Zelle handle or your PayPal or something to know that. Now, the private key is like your password. What information you need to enter the username and password to enter into your bank account to take the money out, or maybe your debit card PIN. So a lot of times people get afraid, oh my God, public key. It's no different than your credit card number, which has an expiration. If you want to buy something online, you share that with somebody. Take money from my credit card. I'll pay them later on. So it's no different than that. This will sound scary, but it really isn't. It's not that much different to the world that we're used to. It's, when people switch from riding horses to riding cars, there was a transition. And transition is always hard and scary and different.
It's a good analogy. Now, the wallet actually doesn't contain a cryptocurrency. That's a misnomer, all right? In the same way that physical wallets hold cash. Remember, it's not a physical representation. You're not actually holding coins. It shows you the balances in your addresses. Basically, it's dots and digits, okay? It's the keys that count. That's what you need to keep a hold of and understand that the private key keeps secure. So a key is a long string of random and unpredictable characters. And you mentioned it, like a public key is like a bank account. And your private key is like a password or a PIN. GB gave the exact analogy. Okay. Okay, so I'm moving on from cryptocurrency. I mean, we could spend days talking about it, and I just wanted to do this as an overview. All right. So now we're moving on to something called NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And these things all tie together, okay? Because you can't buy NFTs unless you have cryptocurrency. You can't accept payment in the metaverse unless you have cryptocurrency, okay? So NFTs are digital representations, art, graphics. And here you have some examples. There is somebody who bought an NFT for, I think it was $69.7 million as a Singapore investor. The NFT he bought contained I think it was 5,000 images. It's called Every Day is the First 5,000 Days. There is a marketplace, just like if you go to a arts and crafts fair, that's a marketplace where you can buy arts and crafts. There's online marketplaces for digital images, graphics, called NFTs. One of the most popular ones is OpenSea. And you see a couple of examples here. And you're going to say that, okay, so if I want to buy this digital graphic of a UFO place at OpenSea, it's going to cost me 0.08 Ethereum. You need to have a crypto wallet. And by the way, there's multiple cryptocurrencies, and Ethereum is one of them. So you'd have to buy Ethereum in the crypto world. A 0.08 Ethereum is equivalent, at the time I did this, it keeps changing, at $94.31. Now, it's not a physical artwork. I'm not putting it on my wall. I'm storing it on my phone, my computer, my laptop. Okay. And here you have another example of somebody who created this wonderful image of a woman with blue hair. 0.1 Ethereum for $116.62. So the question we get is, why would someone do this? Right, GB? Here you have cars. These are digital cars created by Crypto Motors, selling for 1 Ethereum at $1,168. And people bought lots and lots of these cars digitally. GB, you want to answer the question as to why people do this?
It's why people buy 100,000 barrel of wine. It's why people buy $100 million painting. It's also a way to transfer wealth from one generation to another. And this is why, because if you break it down, non-fungible token is something of a unique thing that if somebody has value, it's a tax planning tool. It is sometimes an ego tool. Sometimes it's simply a storing value tool. People want to store value, and it's much easier to cross a border with an NFT than with hard coins or cash in your pocket, because there are laws that you cannot cross border with more than an X amount of US dollars or any other foreign currency. I remember a story that Bill Gates once said when he was traveling in 1998, that he had to declare how much currency he had on him at the US customs, but he said he had floppy disk. Remember floppy disk? He had floppy disk in his pocket worth $160 million at the time. He didn't have to declare that. Now, if he was crossing the border with $160 million in his pocket, he would have to declare that. So why do people buy this stuff? Tax planning, financial planning, estate planning, art appreciation. You may see nothing in it, but abstract art is a big business. It's abstract. It's somebody's perceived value. Is your home really worth $1 million? Well, it is, because some marketplace said it's worth $1 million. When you bought it, maybe it was 150,000. That's what the marketplace said at the time. So it depends.
Right. I love all those answers.
Thank you, sir.
So what's an NFT? Right? It's a digital asset that represents real world objects like art, music, and game items, videos. All right. It's blooming. It's a very popular way to buy and sell digital artwork, and it's going to continue to bloom. The market for NFTs is worth $41 billion in 2021. $41 billion. When I saw that number, GB, I was like, really? There's something to this then. Okay. And the total value, that is the total value of the entire global fine art market, which includes the paintings by Van Gogh. Okay. $41 billion. Let that sink in. Now, of course, just like with fine art, physical fine art, there's ups and downs in the marketplace. So there's an NFT called the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and it sold for millions. NFTs traded for millions of dollars over the last few months, but there's been a drop in NFTs. So the price has dropped. It's going to go down and up and down, just like the coin market, hard coin market. Just keep that in mind.
Just
If
like
you're
the real
buying,
estate market.
just like the real estate market, that $1 million home. The
Yeah.
$1 million home may not be worth $1 million a year from now. It may be worth $800,000 depending on what's going on with inflation and interest rates. Okay. But are you buying the home just for appreciation? No. Most people buying a home to live in a home.
Some people buy land. Land speculation is a big business. And it could be a swampland. I mean, the whole Washington, D.C. is built on swampland. Sometimes swampland is worth it. San Francisco is built on swampland. We're a desert, Southern California. If Colorado turns off its water, we're done. So we're a desert in Southern California. But somebody said, hey, let's build here in 1880s, and here we are.
So I'm looking at this artwork here and say, why would anyone buy that? That's not interesting to me, but it's interesting to a lot of other people. These bored up, so beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Here we have, it's expected to reach $80 billion by 2025. Why am I telling you this? Because if you want to take a piece of this marketplace, you need to understand it. If you're a creator, then you can create digital artwork and sell your NFTs on a marketplace like OpenSea. And so here you see, I think this was fashion created by Gucci. They just sold these in the metaverse for millions of dollars. They didn't make physical representation of these NFTs. The Fly Fish Club is the first NFT restaurant. Gary Vaynerchuk is involved in this. In order to gain access to this restaurant, you had to pay a membership fee, but it's not in dollars. Like the tennis club down the street in Manhattan Beach, I had to pay a fee if I want to go to that tennis club, right, to join it. Our country club golf course, here you have to pay Ethereum, 2.5 Ethereum. In January 2022, that was worth about $8,500. That doesn't pay for the food. That's just to get a reservation at the club. Okay, this was a Dolce & Gabbana collection. They sold 9 NFTs for $5.65 million. And Burberry, all these fashion brands are into it. Okay. Why would someone buy a membership to the Fly Fish Club in NFTs? Well, why does somebody buy a membership in a golf club? Adidas is selling these wearables in the metaverse. They had a limited amount of 30,000 NFTs that were sold, and they can be used on various blockchain gaming platforms. So if you run a restaurant, you can sell your own NFTs as a ticket for people who want to join your holiday party. This is your way to keep away from fraudulent ticket sellers. You can offer free cookies for a year to the first group to buy an NFT during your opening. You can provide priority services to those who purchase your NFTs. GB could take NFTs and the few people that buy it, and whoever buys it, he says, you're going to get 1 hour free consultation with me, but you have to buy my NFT. It's a way of marketing. And that's what it's talking about. Preserve a priority 1 hour consulting slot to only clients who have purchased an NFT. Okay. You can link physical products to your NFT. In other words, create the apparel and then actually create the physical manifestation of that apparel. It builds trust and authenticity. NFTs can prove authenticity through the certificate of authenticity. So when you have blockchain, it's highly tightly controlled. So from cradle to grave, you can track the supply chain associated with a product. I'm not going to get into telefinance right now. So you can use NFTs to allow access to your digital services, manage your supply chain, raise funds for your small businesses. You can engage a graphic designer, create NFTs, pay that graphic designer, sell them, and you can raise money for yourself. You can use NFTs for your business growth to build a solid base of loyal customers. You can this is a good one. You can gamify your customer's experience. I don't know how you gamify accounting, but it's probably a way, GP, right?
Correct.
Build a loyalty program. When they sign up for your website, they can download the NFT and scan the NFT loyalty code, and then they can earn loyalty points as a reward. Lots of people doing that now, right? Create an NFT to help a charity. Communicate your brand identity. This is important. Tell your story in the metaverse through NFTs. And they're limitless. Your marketing visuals have no expiration because NFTs are traded. Now, you can make money infinitely from your art through NFT royalties. We didn't talk about royalties yet, GB, and how that's taxed.
Exactly. Passive income.
Yeah, it's passive income. It protects your enterprise from cash losses through such as counterfeit coupons. That happens quite a bit. Somebody comes in, says a coupon, and they may have counterfeited. NFTs can't be counterfeited. Okay, they're only limited by your creativity. So how do you get one? You decide what you want to create. Obviously, determine your business goal. Choose a blockchain like an Ethereum. There's a bunch of others. Create the art or hire a freelancer. We've reached the 2:00 hour. I'm going to stop there. You know what, GB, I'm not going to go into blockchain. We can save that for another time. You can talk about what you want to talk about next week. Okay. So someone's asked how they can get into Metaverse. Make an appointment with an SBDC advisor who is knowledgeable about Metaverse, and we will do our best to help you. Okay. So GB, whatever you want to talk about next week is cool by me.
I think we should continue with this presentation, bring it home, and then we can take from there. Would that be okay with you?
Sure. It'll be blockchain, and
yeah,
we'll go from there. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you, everybody. It's nice to see everybody. Thank you, GB. Thank you, Lauren. All right. Bye now.